Okay, it's day 125. This is part two. And I always like drilling down the next day and doing analysis of something I saw up close and personal. And I was surprised no other reporters tried to ask any questions. I asked him three questions as Zwan got closer and closer to the vehicle. And I saw a subtle expression change. And I saw the same sort of curl with Mike Flynn. I know nobody wants to hear that, but I got this is kind of the expression that I got, which is, don't worry, everything's been worked out. I'm not going to do any time. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to still keep doing what I've been doing, which is being a go-between for different interests in the Ukraine for gas and oil and metals all over Eastern Europe. I mean, he speaks Russian, but I listened to that accent over and over, and it just so much Dutch and so much polished, poshy English. I said, broker, broker, broker. This guy's a broker. He's a continental man. He's MI6 or whatever the Dutch equivalent is. He is just all the Eton and the cricket fields of Eton and so forth is his background. I just said he's not the son of Russian. He didn't grow up in Russia. He grew up on the cricket fields of Eton. Early on. I'm not saying he wasn't born and spent a lot of time in Belgium and spent a lot of time in Holland as well. And his French, you could just tell, is good, and he's been kind of moving in and out unctuously through the NATO corridors and through Brussels and so forth. He's a negotiator, he's a middleman, he's a broker. And I thought, this is the guy, if I was Friedman and I was selling Russia by the pound or I was selling Ukraine by the pound, this would be a key ally. And I saw this little curl of a smile on the third question. He was really trying to keep that, oh my God, I'm going to jail face. And then he broke right here into a little curl of a smile. And he's like, I've almost made the car. I've fooled everybody here. And that's just my analysis of seeing it up close and personal. And this is my third question. And I was trying to get to that Mike Flynn moment, that curl of a smile of, hey, I know what's going on here. So I'm going to call this episode the Bolshevik Biscuit Factory. And it may seem like a jump to you, but the father of this, I'll go back a second here. The father, I'll just connect the dots here so people might think that's too big of a jump. His father-in-law is this Khan guy. And they're in business, Khan, C-O-N, or is it K-H-A-N? Well, he's not really a K-H-A-N. You'll see that in a second. It is a C-O-N. And he's in with these two biscuit guys, okay? Bolshevik Biscuits is probably, you remember Friedman, our Pillsbury Doughboy, Bolshevik Biscuits. So let's go to Bolshevik Biscuits. For those people who don't know, Bolshevik Biscuits was kind of a Moscow institution. It was always kind of seen as a success model. The old communists used to tour people through Bolshevik Biscuits. Everyone was so happy. It was a kind of a national pride symbol of, I don't know, just, the way we like our Oreo cookies, Bolshevik Biscuits was that sort of thing. Well, when the Soviet Union privatized, they gave everybody vouchers. There was even this heroic art around Bolshevik Biscuits, that these are the biscuits that got the brave Red Army through the war and won the war for the Red Army, that sort of folklore. So this was the first business that was privatized when the Soviet Union fell. Now, you remember, you're Friedman and in that clutch of people that want to sell off all the assets of Russia and then every one of the satellite countries as the satellite countries fall off and privatize, right? Well, you don't want to start out with saying, well, first we're going to do all your oil companies, then we're going to do your uranium, and then we're going to follow up with all the gas, and then all the gold, and then platinum, and then when we finally get down to biscuits, we're going to let you people have a few biscuits, right? Sort of like, let them eat cake kind of attitude. No, what you want to do is you want to start out with giving everybody the first vouchers and let them get into the biscuit company, let everybody feel like privatization is a good thing. And it really was kind of going to the heart of Mother Russia and this idea of letting people emotionally connect with privatization as a part of this process of life's going to be better. Trust me, the old communism should be put away, and we should, release all of our industries to these private smart guys, and they're going to make it better for Russia. Okay, so Who was the face of that? Of course, it's Biscuit Boy, it's Pillsbury Doughboy, it's Friedman. Okay, now it was Friedman. He had an E in his name. He dropped the E to, I don't know why. But it's always, he creates this company called Alpha Bank, right? And Alpha Bank is just what it sounds like. It's for the alpha males, supposedly what they think it's alpha males. And we're going to create this bank to funnel all the assets out of Russia. So Alpha Bank is going to start off with the biscuits, right, which could be a cover for anything like the drug business, let's say. But then we're going to get quickly into gold, metals, uranium, gas, oil, and so forth. And if you start looking at the other partners in the business, you see how readily that, well, let's say we are selling Russia by the pound, and we want a place to talk about it. Well, let's go to Maryland. Let's have a compound. Let's build them a compound to sell off Russia by the pound. And over at the Y East Conference Center, we'll a couple of miles away, we'll have all of our international conferences. We'll put some FSB guys in here and wire it for sound, so we'll always have the best bid on all the takings as we sell Russia by the pound. Okay, that sounds like a really good plan. So let's talk about Herman Kahn. Again, no one is reporting this. Who is German Kahn? His name is, I believe, really Herman Borisovich. His name is not Kahn. He's not a Muslim in any way, shape, or form. He's Jewish. And I believe his name was Herman, but because his father, I believe, had a little bit of German blood. But anyway, we won't go there. He's a big Alpha Group guy. It's Alpha Bank, Alpha Bank, Alpha Bank. And if you look at his history, and again, it's not a secret. I mean, you have to go to Google Translate. I mean, I'm no genius in Russian translation, but you can see the same thing. They all are metallurgy. Here, metallurgy and so forth, and then they get involved in Echo, wherever you heard that, Echo One in Nigeria and so forth, and then Rosneft. This is the oil company. Okay, so it always goes back to the oil. The oil gets you the pipelines. Pipelines get you the police force, the DynCorp police force. Then you get everything else. You get all the rat lines. Once you get the police force, you get everything else. The same tried and true method, right? So then I started looking and said, well, how about our friends? Where would you put your biscuits? Let's say you're going to dump all this money into the United States. You're going to negotiate all these deals out in Maryland, and what are you going to do with it? Well, hey, Boris or Borshcheva, Herman, whatever. Why don't you put it into hotels? It's like Monopoly. You can buy houses, but man, you should really get hotels. We can put them in a couple of places. We got this Trump guy. We could push stuff through him. We could put some stuff in New Jersey. We could put some stuff in different golf courses and so forth. And we can also do Miami. It's going to be warm there. We got this racetrack. We can, the Gulfstream Park, we can put all the biscuit money that comes from drugs, that we're going to run drugs in all these parts that drop off from the Soviet Union, like Ukraine. We're going to create organized crime with all these organized criminals. We're going to create Russian mafia in all these countries. We're going to have all this money. Where better than Miami to dump it and process it through? Now, I'm not saying that Bogacheva here, the lawyer that's listed in the indictment, is that person. But I'm not saying Westerman in that firm is Bogacheva with a shorter haircut and so forth and a smile, etc. Somebody else will make that comparison. But I am saying that if I'm going to put my biscuits somewhere, my biscuits meaning my smart girls that I helped come up through the ranks and get their education for them so they could help me put my investments into Miami. I'm going to call those the Bolshevik biscuits, in a kind of what do you call it, a endearing term. Those are my Bolshevik biscuits, right? Well, let's talk about the Bolshevik biscuits. Now, these are the people that are supposedly involved in the indictment. Well, here you go. Bachelor of Law, okay, from Presidential Academy, National Economy, Public Administration, okay. That sounds good, okay. Here it is, Law, Public Services, great, okay. Now, these people don't sound like terrorists. They sound like people who are good at EB-5s and LLCs. Here's working at the Siberian Center. That's for, again, biscuits. Okay, that's grain, right? Here we go again, Public Administration again. They don't. Oh, Siberian Agrarian Holdings. Again, doesn't sound like a terrorist to me. It sounds like somebody who specializes in EB-5s and LLCs. Okay? Comes to America, works in these law offices in Pennsylvania, Russian language instructor at Florida International University. Doesn't just appear to be a bad person at all. Actually, seems to be pretty solid. Okay, and there's the address and so forth. Now, I'm not saying those two people are associated, but they would be buying properties like this, or the Trump Hollywood would be a classic place. And I believe Trump Hollywood was built on Russian money. I'll just go ahead and say it. I think a lot of Trump's hotels in Atlantic City were built on Russian money. Now, does that mean Trump was complicit? I don't think so. I think that he's just a convenient guy who had a name and could attract a lot of investment. And it was also a great cover. Hey, Trump's building a hotel. Russian oligarchs that are selling Russia by the pound are not building casinos and hotels on Miami Beach. What do if you lose the election? Well, how about just killing off one of the Ukrainian businessmen that you did business with and just say Trump was in cahoots with him? Kill off 5 or 6 ambassadors who know about the deal and just say, hey, this Alex Oranoff, he looks like a bad guy. He looks like a Boris Badenoff. We're going to say he did it. Just kill him off and then say Trump colluded with him. That's what I think is going to happen. Just that simple. It's first selling people on the idea of biscuits. Sell them on the idea of biscuits. Privatize. Sell Russia by the pound. Go out and meet in Centreville. Put your biscuits down in Miami with your biscuits lawyers, and you are good to go.